If you guys had listened to our last episode, which was amazing, if you didn't listen to it, then please do. We had Harry Marotra on from Camera Centre UK. Talking about the Wales and West show that they were putting on. And they kindly gave us a couple of press passes so me and Cam could go down, and we did last Friday. We went round the show and had quite a bit of had a few chats with people, bumped into some old friends and met some new ones, and this is how it all went.
We've stopped here at the Benro stand and we're chatting with Mark. Mark, what are Benro known for?
Benro make a range of camera supports, tripods and heads for both photo and video cameras. We have a wide selection available to suit almost most requirements that photographers need.
Yeah, I mean, looking around here, I mean, there must be, 20 or 30 tripods that you've got here, and different types of heads, video heads, camera heads, sort of, I suppose, vlogging unit heads as well. So there's a whole range of stuff. When a photographer's looking for a tripod, I'm not talking about a videographer here, but I'm talking about a photographer here, what makes a good tripod?
A lot really depends on what the photographer wants. Choosing a tripod usually involves some sort of compromise between whether they want something portable or whether they want something stable. And we have extremes at either end of the scale, and we have a wide range of products in the middle. And it's really up to the photographer to decide what their compromise is and to choose the product that they know that when they walk out the front door with their camera bag every morning, that they will pick up and take with them. So we have a big range of products that hopefully, it might seem it makes the decision making more complicated, but we like to provide a solution for almost all cases.
So for me, it's important because a lot of people overlook the importance of a tripod. I'm talking here about sort of hobbyist enthusiasts really. They'll think they need a tripod, so they'll go out and buy a tripod, might buy on Amazon a £50 tripod, and just because it's a tripod, they think, yeah, I've got a tripod and it's good enough. But some of them aren't really worth anything at all because they're so flimsy. So a tripod has to have some substance to it, but also it comes down to cost. Now, Benro offer a quality range of products, we know that. So from the consumer end, what sort of prices do the tripods start at?
The Benro range starts with what I would call a full-size tripod with a suggested retail price of around £110 and goes up to around about £500 for top of the range, tall, heavy, stable carbon fibre. And when I say heavy, I mean heavy, it's lightweight compared to the size, but we make a good selection of models to suit not all budgets, as I say, starting at £110, some people might think is expensive, but when you buy Benro, we like to think you're buying a quality product that will last you well if you look after it.
In fact, I'm surprised they start from as low as £110 actually, because Benro are well known in the industry, for offering that quality product as well. When it comes to the weight of a tripod, you were saying that carbon fibre, and it's very much sort of the lightweight end of things. Are most tripods now being made from carbon fibre for that reason, or are there still different materials, heavier materials still being used?
I guess since carbon fibre was started to be used for tripods, it's been a buzzword and of what people need. The benefit of carbon fibre is that it brings lightness. So if you've got two tripods the same size, one's made of aluminium, one's made of carbon fibre, the carbon fibre one will be lighter weight. Put that into perspective and spin it around the other way. If you put those two tripods up in a wind tunnel and turn the fan on, the expensive lightweight one will blow over before the less expensive heavy one. And this is the compromise, is do you want heavy and stable or do you want lightweight and portable? And actually carbon fibre does give you that best compromise. You can get something that's quite big but is still lighter than what a big aluminium equivalent would be.
So when you buy a tripod, it comes really in two sections. It comes as obviously the tripod legs and then the separate attachment, which is the head that goes on top, rather than it being one complete unit. And I'm guessing, looking at the products that you've got, they all pretty much, apart from maybe one or two, seem to be sort of in that way, where you've got the tripod legs and you buy the head that's separate. And there's a range of different tripod heads, aren't there? You get things like the ball heads, the ones with like the stick. What's the most popular type of head and that's when I talk about the actual head, that's the bit that screws onto the bottom of your camera, for those of you that aren't sure.
Yeah, that's right. The head is the bit that actually allows you to position the camera, landscape, portrait, pan left and right. Yeah, I mean, we do three-way heads, so they pan, tilt, and up and down, and each one has a separate lock for each axis of movement. We have ball heads, where you undo one lock and the head will move in all directions. We then have variables on that. So for instance, we have a geared head, which is in effect a three-way head, where you have control over each movement by turning a dial, which gives you very precise movements. And then we have heads that are designed for long lenses, telephoto lenses, which give you very smooth movement for what could be, a 400, 500 mil lens. And again, it's really a case of deciding what kind of photography you're doing. Our most popular heads as an all-rounder are probably ball and socket heads. Because although when you undo the lock, they will move in all directions, most of our ball heads have a friction control, which allows you to adjust the tension, which means that you get some degree of precision in your positioning. But if you're doing just landscape photography and you always want precision, then something like our geared head is probably what you need. Likewise, if you're using a camera with a long telephoto lens for wildlife or sports photography, then a gimbal head is what you need. It's a little bit like the tripods. We have a solution for most cases, and then if someone's looking for a head that will do all three, variable functions, then it's up to the customer to decide what they think will work best for them.
Yeah, that's right. And I think really what we're saying, just to finish off, is that choosing a tripod is an important decision, and there's a range of different options, and it's finding the right tripod for you. And that will only enhance your photography as well. A good tripod goes a long way. Brilliant. Mark, thank you very much.
No problem.
Cheers.
Hi there, Mark here. So I'm here with another one of the models here. So it's Jared. Jared, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good, but thanks for giving me the time to have a chat.
No worries at all. No worries at all. So first off, how is it that you got this gig? How come you're here today?
Well, I got invited by one of the photographers here, Imogen, her name is. Lovely person, an amazing photographer. She recommended me to come down, and I thought, why not? Let's come and meet some people, and it's a really, really friendly atmosphere. Everyone's lovely, and I'm just having a really good time.
Awesome stuff. Were you here yesterday as well?
I wasn't here yesterday, but I will be here tomorrow as well.
Ah, cool. Very good. So, what sort of things you've been doing today?
Well, to be honest, I've just been floating around, just having chats with people, just getting to know some photographers, some of the local businesses, kind of thing, and just had a few photo shoots now, and I think it'll just be a bit more of the same.
Awesome stuff. And how long have you been in the modelling profession for?
About 4 to 5 years now. I started helping a university student out back when I was at uni, and it kind of sort of snowballed from there. Really, just set up my Instagram page and just been modelling ever since. Yeah.
Very good. So we're just here. We're the photography bar, and we do a lot of sort of information for photographers, professionals listen to us, also amateurs and students and all that kind of stuff as well. So we just wondered, any sort of tips for photographers, how to, interact with a model, what do you find is useful when on shoots, that kind of thing, really. So. In the studio, what do you find useful? Do you find photographers, if they know how to pose and all that kind of stuff, or collaboration? What do you find really useful when it comes to working with photographers?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's probably the number one thing for me is when a photographer gives good directions. As a model, you can start running out of ideas and you're in front of the camera, so it can get a little bit nerve-wracking at times, but if you've got a photographer who's cool, calm, collected, and they know exactly what they want, and they can give you directions of just like where to position your hands, how to tilt your head, where to put your legs and all that sort of stuff, like just positioning wise, it can be really, really useful and help calm a model down, knowing they're following the instructions of the photographer. They know that's what the photographer wants, so they don't have to worry about sort of displeasing them or anything like that. Just having clear instructions and a clear goal is really, really helpful for a photo shoot.
Awesome stuff. I mean, I think we're speaking to one of the ladies who also models here, and she was saying mood boards are quite useful as well. Is that something?
Yeah, 100%. Mood boards are so useful, especially in terms of like what clothes to bring to a shoot, because sometimes you're stuck there the night before, you're looking at all your clothes, you're just like panicking, 'cause you're not sure what to bring. But if you've got a mood board, you can sort of refer back to that and think, okay, cool, I've got to sort of resemble something, you know, to this degree. And yeah, definitely a mood board. Would fully recommend that.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, I think Cam wants to answer a question. Here we go.
Yeah, I just wanted to continue on, Jared, from what you were saying there about the rapport with the photographer. So for me, you know, speaking to a lot of photographers and working with a lot of photographers, there's a lot of photographers that you put a camera in their hand and they just go very quiet. And that builds a barrier between you've got photographer, you've got camera, and then you've got model, and the camera becomes a barrier because there's no one speaking. The model's not talking to the photographer's not talking to the model. There's not, as you were saying, it needs clear instructions. And so the best photographers, I always feel, are the ones that are the noisiest, right? You know, the ones that are constantly talking and shooting whilst they're behind camera as well. Because one thing I sort of liken it to is paparazzi. You never hear a quiet paparazzi photographer. They're always barking instructions. Now, I don't mean barking instructions, but what I mean is that that everything comes from the photographer, and then that goes back to the model, and then the model gets to know as well. You know, this is what I want to do, and then the model might start coming up with ideas as well, and it builds up a whole shoot, doesn't it? You know, have you found yourself in the situation where this just isn't happening with a particular photographer?
Yeah, no, it does happen. Like, fortunately enough, it doesn't happen too much for me. But yeah, well, when it's pretty much like you said, when you get a quiet photographer, he's not really giving you too much. Like, I start running out of ideas and poses, and then I'm sort of sat there like, mate, I got no idea what else to do, and he's sort of there twiddling his thumbs, not really too sure either. And it just becomes a bit, I don't know, you definitely lose like the momentum of a photo shoot as well. It sort of falls very flat on its face very early on. But as you said, if you get a photographer who's like constantly talking, and even if they're making you laugh, and they're like, they, for example, like sometimes I've had to do photo shoots where I've had to be smiley or happy and stuff, and the photographer's there just cracking jokes, just trying to making you laugh, and it just warms you into the shoot, and it keeps the momentum going, and it's just really nice. You can bounce off each other and play off each other. But obviously, if the photographer sort of remains silent, then it becomes a very stale shoot. It just becomes a very long shoot very quickly. So definitely keep communication going. Have all these ideas coming out, and I know from a photographer's perspective that can seem like quite a lot because they are the one who's got to initiate that, but trust me, the model will start bouncing off you and will start suggesting ideas as well.
Great. Do you find it's created an interest in photography for yourself? Now, the answer might be no to this, but are you interested in photography yourself at all? Do you ever sort of think, actually, I'd quite like to be the one behind the camera?
I've never done it. I've never given it a go. Of course, it's been on my mind. Like, I see what like photographers can produce and the cameras they have, and it looks all so incredible. But I wouldn't know the first thing about how to operate a camera. I know, like, I don't want to be one of these guys who goes and gets this expensive camera and knows how to like function like 2% of it. I know some people do that. I don't want to be a statistic like that. So yeah, no, probably not. I'll probably leave that to the experts, but I wouldn't fully say no to it.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's a really good answer. Yeah. Because, and the reason why I say it's a good answer, right, is response, is you've just sort of said that I'm not going to go out and buy a camera and only be able to use 2% of it. You know, the problem is so many people think photography is so easy, so they'll go and buy this amazing camera and they'll expect just to get great pictures just because they've spent a lot of money on a camera.
Well, a lot of people think it's the camera, don't they?
Yeah, and I think this conversation proves that it is the photography, it's the rapport as well, but it's knowing how to use your camera. So your sort of response to that was really good, but because it just sort of goes to show that you have to learn the crafts, don't you? Just as modelling, you have to learn how to model, don't you? You know, there's a way to do it. You know, it's not just a look. If you have a look, it's not just if you have a look, then you can model, but you still have to learn that craft, don't you?
Yeah, of course, definitely. Like, we're going back to the photography thing. I remember being at university, and you would get these students who would come fresh into uni, and they'd get their parents to buy them this really expensive camera, and the results really were so naff. It was so like, oh, really? Like, you spent all this money on this? Like, yeah, it is a talent. It is a skill you need to sort of master over the years, and certainly, and then that definitely sort of transcends then into modelling as well. Like I've been doing this for 4 to 5 years now, and I'm definitely a lot better than how I started. I hope I am anyway.
Great stuff. Thank you, Jared. What we'll do is we'll put out some links to your Instagram, in the pod show, and so if any of you want to check out Jared's work and possibly even use Jared for one of your shoots, I'm sure you'll be able to get in touch. Thanks, Jared. Okay, so at the show today, there are some models here for photographers who have brought their cameras along, who can take photos with their cameras of professional models. And we've got one of the models here, Anna, and we're going to be chatting to Anna and asking Anna what it's like to work with photographers, and if you're a photographer and wants to work with models and wants to photograph models, what do you as a photographer need to be aware of? So, hi Anna, thank you for joining us. And have you been busy this morning?
Yeah, I was really busy this morning. There were so many people, especially in the morning. Yeah, so it's,
That's great. Okay, so obviously you work with a lot of photographers. You've been modelling, you were saying, for 3 years?
Yeah.
So, okay, that's good. And so you've obviously worked with a lot of different photographers.
yeah.
So what advice would you have for a photographer who's working with a model?
So I would advise to talk to models, because sometimes I don't know if I doing things right, and just talk to them, because you can't really see what's going on in the frame. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that's really good advice, because a lot of we've said this a number of times, haven't we, Mark, that the best photographers are the ones that are always talking from behind the camera. They're telling their subject what to do, what they want them to do. So that rapport works off the model and the photographer as well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, really a good advice to communicate with models, because you can maybe like just book them for another shoot, or just help them to help them in their career as well. So just talk, make friends. I don't know.
I understand what you're saying. It's just building a good relationship, so that the photographer's talking, the model's talking, making you feel comfortable. Because, I've said before, a lot of photographers like to say, I'm a photographer and I like to do all the natural photos and that type of thing. But I tend to find a lot of photographers go so quiet behind the camera that the camera becomes a barrier between the photographer and the model. So it's really important that the photographer is always talking and advising people as well. So I think, Mark, any advice from you at all?
Oh, I wouldn't say necessarily advice. I mean, I think. Do you find it easier if someone books you, that you have maybe a bit of a rapport before the shoot happens, emails like listing what's going to be happening in the shoot and any ideas and things like that? Is that more helpful, do you think?
Yeah, so before the shoot, I would like to know what the idea of the shoot. If I need to bring my own outfit, I'd like to know what outfit I should bring, because, it's obvious. If I have to do my makeup on my own, I'd like to know some ideas maybe for it, because, I don't know what's your idea, what's your vision of it, so yeah.
Yeah, and I guess things like mood boards and...
Yeah. Just send some pictures maybe from other photographers that inspired you, just something, just anything.
And I'm guessing that photographers who kind of know what they want to do, know how to sort of pose you, I guess, exactly what they're after, that's the sort of thing that really helps with the shoot.
Yeah, maybe some for poses as well, because some models don't really know how to pose. It's quite sad, but sometimes it happens.
Awesome stuff. Okay. Well, thank you very much. We'll grab your. Are you on Instagram and things?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll share your link so people know who you are. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so when you come to a trade show, we've always said, haven't we, Mark, that the best place to get a deal is at one of the trade shows, and we are stood here at the Camera Centre UK stand, who have organised this show, and we're looking at the board here with all of their products that they've got and with the prices as well. And there's some really good deals here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, I'm being a Canon user, went straight to the Canon stuff, and they've got some cashback offers. So, for example, the EOS R6 Mark II body only, after the cashback, which is £250, is 2251, which is actually quite a good deal, really. It's only like a couple of £100 more than what I paid for the R6 Mark I a few years ago. So not bad at all. There's some good ones on the Nikons as well. So the Z7 Mark II, we've got about, what, £450 off there as well. Yeah, some really good offers going on.
Yeah, you were looking at the Nikon ones. I wanted to point out the Z8, which is the body only, is $3,999, and with the lens kit, with the 24-120, it's £4,839. But it also comes with a free gift as well. Now, it's either the lens adapter or a 128 gig card, and that's what I mean that about when you come to a trade show, that there's some really good deals always to be had. You know, whether it's a free gift or good deals that they're carrying off. You know, Sony's A1 is down from standard retail price of $6,499 to $5,499. You're right, that's about £1,000 off, and you get a 320 gig CF Express card, and that on its own is worth £629. Yeah. So that is one hell of a deal. So that's what I mean. So if you are looking for something, look out for these trade shows. And it's not just cameras. I mean, look, we've got all the camera straps here. The Street Breathe camera single strap that's from Black Rapid. Their straps are brilliant. That's down, it is about £10 off that from normal retail price, but it's still a deal to be had. So look out for these trade shows if you're looking for something to buy.
Hi there, right, so I am with Stuart at Don Clark Camera Repairs Limited. How are you doing, Stuart? You okay?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
Awesome stuff, awesome stuff. I must admit, we go around a few trade centres. I've not seen like necessarily a repair person there. Have you, Cam?
Yeah, there's normally at the trade shows, there's always a camera cleaning stand going.
All right, I must have missed it. Anyway, not to worry, not to worry. So, how have things been for you at the trade show?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, we've been busy doing some sensor cleans, obviously for Camera Centre, so we do most of their work. So, yeah, so just been sitting here. Yeah, whenever anybody needs their sensor doing, we can do it on the spot for them.
Awesome stuff. So, I mean, I'm going back to my Jessop's days. I used to send stuff off to repair, and it was always mechanical stuff. And it's a very different game now with the DSLRs. There's probably a lot more sort of involved in fixing cameras. What would you advise photographers, whether they're professionals or students, to look after their cameras, whether it's sensor cleaning or just general upkeep of their cameras? Is there any tips you would have for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just trying to keep it as dust-free as possible, really. You know, like lens cap, even body caps, you know, when you're putting them onto bodies, just, you know, spending a bit of time sort of hoovering them out on the inside, you know, because they just pick up so much dust. You know, and if you don't get rid of that, it's going to transfer it into the body straight away as soon as you put them on and off. I mean, and then really silly kind of like, you know, solutions like double-sided sticky tape. If you put some inside the body caps in the, you know, in the little cavity, it will pick up, you know, quite a bit of dust from the inside. You know, it will stick to it rather than going and dropping inside on your sensor.
That's a great little tip. Have you heard of that before?
Hang on a minute. Where'd you put that? On the inside of the body cap?
If you've got a body cap, obviously you've got a little hollowed out section inside. Just put some, you know, just cut some tape to size, just some double-sided tape on the inside of it, and any dust that sort of floats around. I mean, you see that technology, I call it technology, inside cameras as well. Yeah. So like at the bottom of shutters, inside mirror boxes, there'll be some double-sided tape. So if anything falls down inside the camera, it, you know, grabs onto it basically and just stops it from floating around the camera.
And is it all types of camera that Don Clark fixes?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We still do film stuff now. We're seeing quite a bit of film stuff again now.
You've seen an uptake on that recently?
A huge uptake, yeah. Yeah, it's. I thought I was done repairing film cameras, and they're all coming out the woodwork now.
Do you find sort of digital cameras are more problematic with repairs than what would have been with film cameras? Or
not necessarily. I mean, we see them for pretty similar faults, to be honest. Shutter units. I mean, we see more digital for shutter units now than film, but what people don't understand is, you know, they're putting, you know, 4,000 shots a go on it, whereas, you know, previously with film stuff, you were putting, you know, 50 rolls of film through it a year, 36 exposures. It didn't, you know, we get a lot of cameras in now that have got a million shots on them,
Yeah, I mean, we've often spoken about that on the pod about, don't just machine gun it when you're at a wedding and things like that. But I do find it quite interesting with all this technology, all these amazing sort of advances in camera technology, that it is the shutter area that's still the problem.
Yeah, I've got a quick question. It's sensor cleaning. So a lot of people will buy their own sensor cleaning kits. They will try and clean their own cameras, try and do it themselves. You're going to say that's not a good idea.
I think it's a great idea, to be honest. It's not rocket science. You've just got to be careful. You've got to make sure you've got a fully charged battery, or you're plugged into a power supply if you've got that facility. And just buy some decent kit. Just buy some proper sensor swabs, and the correct fluid is important because you can damage the coating on the sensors. But the research is online there; it's for everybody to see. You just need to have done a little bit of research for yourself and just be careful.
So you can do it, because I'm sort of, it's good that you've said that. Actually, you didn't just sort of say no. Always send it to a professional. You can do it yourself, but really, you do have to be incredibly careful, because I guess it's very easy to make a mistake, scratch something.
Yeah, I mean, the common mistake that we see is, if you've got a low power on a battery, if you put the camera into sensor clean mode, it will go into sensor clean mode, but then if it gets to a point where the battery gets too low, it will automatically shut itself down and shut the shutter. So if you're in there with a sensor swab and all of a sudden the shutter comes crashing down, we do see them where they sort of fold the shutter up because the sensor swab's gotten in the way of all the little blades and they're quite delicate. That is a relatively common one.
Sure, yeah. So on the Canons, I don't think Nikon do, but Canon have. You can set it so that when your camera turns on and off, it cleans the sensor camera. So, I mean, does it actually do anything? And is it worth having that on?
It is worth having it on. It doesn't do a huge amount because the problem is there is a phenomenon called dust weld. So the CMOS sensors, or the sensors, get relatively warm when they're on. And dust has a moisture content in it when it's floating around, and when it lands on the sensor, it kind of gets baked onto the sensor a little bit. So it will shake off bigger bits. I mean, it's basically an ultrasonic pad in it, and it just vibrates at a really high frequency. So it will shake some stuff off, but if it's actually welded onto the sensor itself, it will need to be wet cleaned to be able to remove it.
Yeah, but you would say that it's still worth leaving on?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. It does a job. It definitely gets rid of some stuff. And as I say, that's what, with the tape in the bottom, it sometimes just shakes a big one off and it'll fall in and just stop, and get stuck. So yeah. Great,
Stuart. Thank you very much. Thank you for that advice, and we'll put some links out.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going to put some sort of sticky tape on my rear lens cap. That's an amazing tip.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Right, guys, I bumped into Jeff, friend of the show, the photographer's mentor, who I highly recommend. And Jeff, you've just become you've just had some good news, haven't you? You've just become president of the BIPP.
Yes, that's right. So the British Institute of Professional Photographers, so I'm their president now. It's a 2-year position. And the BIPP is the oldest professional photography association in the entire world. So it was started in 1901. So it's got a load of history, and looking for a new direction for the British Institute of Professional Photography to drive it forward and make it an institution that's all about success and creativity. Because my view is that yes, you can have lots of associations and stuff and bodies, but if photographers are just featuring on, creating beautiful images, but they don't understand how to market and move forward with the business, then they're not going to actually make any money. So photographers need that creative sort of inspiration, but they also need advice on how to run a business. They also need support and to make sure that they're fully legally compliant as well. And I think this is the way forward for the BIPP.
Yeah, I can certainly vouch for that. I mean, I'm not saying photography is easy, but the photography part of the job that we do is the easy bit. It's the business aspect of things and learning how to run a business, finding the work, how are you going to bring work in? That's the hardest thing, being a self-employed photographer. And on top of that, as you said, the legal issues as well, because they're becoming, there's some new legislation coming in now every single month, or every single year now, isn't there? And you just have to be far more aware of that as a business owner.
Yeah, I mean, with everything, with GDPR, terms and conditions, privacy policies for your website, contracts with your clients, image usage rights, and obviously, now we're starting to think about AI as well. So that's going to be changing legalities as well for photographers. And the thing is, most photographers are single-man bands. So something that's really important to them is having a community and having support and people that can bounce ideas off. It's like having somebody who's trusted, who gives them a good source of knowledge. And obviously, with the BIP being 120-year-old, we have that within the Institute.
But as your role as the mentor, as the photographer's mentor, sort of briefly, how can you help photographers that are out there who run their own businesses?
Well, one of the things I do, I've got a website, thephotographersmentor.com. I produce blogs, I produce lots of information. So I help photographers establish their brand, build a premium brand, and then learn how to gain more visibility, because it's all about getting their message out there. If you're not visible, you're not credible. And that's it. Visibility becomes credibility. The more credible you become, the more authority you have, and the more you can charge for what you do. So it's all about visibility. It's all about consistency. But you have to have the right message there, and you have to have the right brand. So the brand and the message need to be right to start with, and then start getting that out and pushing. Don't be afraid to get yourself out there.
Yeah, it's true. And the thing is, but you need guidance to do that, don't you? You need help, because a lot of us, or a lot of independent photographers will say, okay, well, I'm going to learn this on my own, which is fair enough. They'll watch YouTube videos. But there's what I find by doing that, or rather they don't get anywhere with it, or they do something and then lose heart, or just not working out. And I think the reason for that is because there's no structure to it. And I think it's worth investing money and working with somebody, doing a course of some sort, or working with a mentor. I think that counts for a hell of a lot. I think too many people try and do everything on their own, don't they? And when there's people like yourself who is there for great ideas, to bounce ideas off and give some structure to a business as well to move forward, I think that's invaluable.
Totally. And obviously, being a mentor myself, I don't just want to say that it's just not like try and sell my services. I think I have a mentor. I have two different mentors which I use. One is for physical and for sort of, for training and fitness and mindset, and I have another mentor for within my business. And I think everybody needs a mentor, somebody to work with, to set goals, be accountable to, because it's so easy when you work by yourself to think, I'll do it next week, or I'll put that off. And it could, what you could be doing, you could be just missing out on half an hour a day of marketing, half an hour a day of doing something in the right direction that will actually change your business. Quite often we put a lot of focus on time of stuff that isn't going to make a big direction to our business, when effectively we're not talking about spending 8 hours a day marketing. We're only talking about half an hour a day getting the right message out to the right people under the right guidance, so you know what you're creating the right message, the right brand, and getting it out there to people, and that's what makes a big difference.
Yeah, really valuable. So we've got the photographer's mentor who has his own mentors, and I think that's a good enough reason to have a mentor for all of us. Thanks, Jeff. We'll put the links out as usual, so if anyone wants to contact Jeff, either please contact us or follow the links. And thanks, Jeff. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Cam. Brilliant.
Right, guys, we've stopped and chatting with Dave at Express Imaging, who's helping out the camera centre. And the reason why I've stopped here is because, Dave, you are standing next to a glass cabinet full of old film cameras, and from Bronicas to Hasselblads, Olympus, Pentax, Nikon, some real classics in there. And I stopped because I got rid of my film cameras years ago, and I was interested in how much they actually retail for, but also I wanted to know about the popularity of these cameras as well. Are a lot of people looking to buy these medium format film cameras?
Yes, they are getting very, very popular. We had a lull in the market, go back 3-4 years ago, where lots of camera equipment went for next to no money at all. I got rid of some stuff back then, and now you're thinking 3 or 4 years later, it's all doubled and tripled back in price. The popularity has gained. Film is sort of back here in a big way. So yes, it's popular. A lot of the youngsters want to go into it. I've had a lot of not so young people coming in and loving the nostalgia of it all. They've come into the cabinets and they're starting to buy in stuff they didn't really need, but they love it because of the tangible feel and the way film is. So it's all come back. The value of the equipment over the last few years has risen. It'll never be what it was, but you get more for the equipment, and there's a lot more interest in it.
That's really good, because you answered a number of my questions there. One of those questions was, who is the typical who would be a typical person that's buying the film stuff? You know, is it young people because they want to learn about it? You know, are people sort of thinking I want to go for that film feel? Obviously, there's a lot of, you know, Lightroom filters and presets and things like that, which try and mimic that. And I know it's not the same, you know, as using, you know, the classic film. That's what it's all about. But it's also just the experience of it, don't you think?
Yeah, the experience. People are loving film. I mean, it's quite funny actually. Running the lab in City Road, we get films coming in and people have fogged them and done silly things with them. They give some really strange and weird results, but they're loving it, that you can't even sometimes produce in Photoshop because of the way the light has worked. And it's brilliant seeing it all come back. But it's quite funny because you see some of these mistakes, and many years ago you tried not to make any of those mistakes, and now they're loving the mistakes that film makes and gets. You get one or two people who open their back and rewind the film and show you, which is a no-no, but that's how they're learning how to get round and how to use film. So, you know, it's all an amazing comeback for film, and I think it's here for a good few years. At least I hope so anyway. I've been here for 23 years and I've seen it double. Since when we started, we were doing 20,000 rolls of film a year. It went down to about 3,000. Now it's back up to 11,000. So that tells you where the market's gone, but it's still growing. And I suppose you get a lot of celebrities out there who've shot film cameras, the Kardashians, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And all of a sudden the market's gone, we want one of those cameras to do that. So that, I think social media has brought it all back as well. But there's a genuine interest for film and a genuine love for the way film is and how it produces the results. It's the CD versus vinyl argument back here again with film.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that about, you know, when people they're trying different things. You know, I opened the back of my SQB several times, squeezed the little buttons together and thought, oh, damn, there's film in there, and quickly closed it. These days, you know, that's art. It's now an effect, isn't it?
Yeah,
and, you know, and all of that. And it's, you know, the style of the cameras is great. And you know they're popular because companies, particularly like Fuji, have gone for very much that retro style in their digital cameras, haven't they? They've gone down that feel as well. So people like the look of those classic film cameras.
Yeah, I guess that's the case. I mean, they're still very digital, though, Cam, so I wouldn't necessarily go that they're looking too retro. But I know what you mean. The kind of the body shape is quite similar on some of them.
I think people like the tangible feel of the buttons rather than LCDs and menus.
Yeah.
I sort of wish Canon, because I'm a Canon user digitally and I love it, but I wish they'd bring out something more tangible, press button, there it is, than screens and menus. But I think that's what's brought all these cameras back, because you can clunk them into position, feel how they're going to work, listen to the shutter go, clunk, and you know you've taken the picture. Yeah. And I think it's quite satisfying to feel, you know, with that camera.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to talk about express imaging as well, and the sort of things that you do. Is it mainly film you do, or do you do digital as well, or is it?
Yeah, it's mainly film. We're film processors and film printers. We've been around for 23 years. I've been told by many reps, oh, just bring your film machine now. No, kept it, ridden out the storm when it's all come back to fruition. So a lot of those reps are now going, oh, yes, good job we stuck with that. Yep. But yeah, express imaging, been there 23 years, love the film industry. We do digital printing, large format printing, we've got a studio, we do lots of different stuff with the realms of taking photographs, utilising photographs. Don't sell so much equipment apart from a cabinet full of used equipment, which I've apprehended over the years. But yeah, just love the industry and what it does. I'm glad to work with Camera Centre with helping them out on this day.
Awesome stuff. So basically, if you are using film cameras and you want to get your film processed, I guess you can just send them over to you, is that right?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, from anywhere in the country?
We'll take mail order, we'll take whatever we can get, however we can get it.
Awesome stuff, awesome stuff. Well, thank you very much for letting us speak to you today, and have a great rest of the show.
Thank you very much, thank you.
We've just gone from the film camera stand to the stands right next to it, which works very well. And it's TWP, who sell Patterson products, and I'm speaking to Miles here, who is standing by his stand here and has got darkroom equipment, developing tank, measuring cylinders, 35mm film spirals, developing trays, all manner of all darkroom stuff. Miles, thank you for letting us have a chat with you. You were saying, so Patterson, so it's TWP, and you sell the Patterson products, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're the manufacturers. So TWP means three-way pressings. So engineering company, and we bought the Patterson products, and we still make them in Tipton in the West Midlands. So it's a UK company.
Well, stopping here, I mean, just reminds me of when I was growing up, you know, because I think I bought my first developing sort of, I think, you know, my parents bought it for me as a present. I think I must have been about 13 or something. And the 35mm film spirals, the exact same developing tank, exactly the same measuring cylinders. They've never changed. The style, which goes to show how classic they are. The film clips that you hang to on the end of your film to dry them, which is great. The little ring pull to take the lid off the 35mm. So there's all manner of and stirrers, thermometers.
I have to say, I was more of a film. I was a film pick guy rather than taking apart the camera stuff.
Yeah. So there's a whole range of products here. Now, how popular is this? You know, are people still looking to process at home?
Well, actually, it's on the increase, bizarrely. I'd say certainly over the last 5 years, we've noticed that film sales have gone up. People are buying 35mm cameras and medium format cameras. Their value is going up, and people are then thinking, what next can I do? I've taken the photos, how about developing the film? And of course, we've got the equipment to do that. You know, it's very easy to do, load a film. It's not scary at all. And then we do kits with various amounts of products in there just to make it easy for you. So you could buy a whole kit for developing 2 rolls of 35mm or 120 with the tank, chemistry, which is made by Ilford, and we put that in this kit together, so you can just have a go at home.
And the Patterson range is all made here in the UK as well, which is which is really good, and so it keeps it here as well. But looking around everything here, you've got the negative bags, the sleeves where you put your 35mm films in. Looking around the stand, but you've also got some really good kits for sale as well. That gives you a complete darkroom. Well, it's a darkroom starter kit, including the red safe lights. It's got everything as for somebody who's either wants to start as a beginner or somebody who's done it for years and has got rid of all their equipment and wants to pick up on it again.
Absolutely. I mean, the idea is, I mean, when I used to work in Jessop's a long time ago, people would come into the shop and say, I want to develop a film, what do I need? And then you'd have to put a kit together and go, you need this, you need that, and people go, oh, okay. And then you've got to get all that together and then bring it through the till. Now you can just come in to, say, Camera Centre Cardiff and say, what do I need? And they can go, here you go, here's a box, buy some film, off you go. But we've tailored it for different needs, so if you want one with the chemistry, that's available. If you don't need the chemistry, you can buy the kit without the chemistry. You can buy a printing kit as well, so with a micro focus finder. You can buy a kit with paper in. So there's also different types of kits to buy, depending on your pocket and what you actually need and want to do for your photo.
And do you know what? It's a great gift for somebody as well. It's a great gift for a young, keen photographer. Buying a complete kit like this as well. Which I think is really cool.
This is all bringing it back, man. It's been so long since I've held a spiral. I'm wondering. I'm eyeing up the film now. I'm wondering if I can still do it.
You want to.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what we should do is we should record it on phone.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll have a go. So we'll have a go at that. So Miles, thank you very much, and we'll put a link out to TWP, and so if anyone wants to buy any darkroom equipment and processing, get in touch with these guys, it'd be great. Cheers.
I'm with Peter Morgan from Tech Photogs. Do you prefer Peter or Pete?
Just Pete, I think, yeah.
Just Pete? Yeah. Okay. Is it Peter when you're in trouble?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome stuff, sorry. Yes, it's kind of random because me and Cam were just walking past your table, and you're with Jeff Brown, who's been on our podcast, so we know Jeff, and we just got chatting about sort of Tech Photogs. So what is Tech Photogs?
So Tech Photogs is a technical support company for creatives and photographers, which was set up really during the pandemic. I'm a photographer myself. I have been for the last 15 years. And during the pandemic, we really couldn't photograph anybody. I was stuck in the house. I'd previously owned a tech company for about 7 years, and we'd done everything from backup, disaster recovery, and I'm a Mac engineer, and just wait for them. That's them delivering my lunch, that is.
Yeah, lunch looks good, guys.
Yeah, so really during the pandemic, there was a lot of time on my hands, and I found that a lot of photographers were coming to me with problems that they were getting with missing files, corrupt cards, backups not working as they should, and it really allowed me the time to be able to put something together to be able to help people. Creatives should have technology empower them rather than hinder them, and most photographers have had some problem or another. When we spoke just now about card failure, and you nodded your head, it's happened to me as well, and it's a genuine concern, especially if you're a commercial photographer.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that worries a lot of people. I mean, I think the technology with cameras as well. I mean, my first DSLR just had one card slot, and now I would never buy a DSLR or a mirrorless with one card slot. You've always got that extra backup in there, so it's mirroring what you're taking. So you've got that little bit of a fail-safe. And then it then goes on to drives and how you're storing things at home. There's cloud systems. I mean, as I said on the podcast before, I'm quite basic. I have literally 2 drives. One's always off the internet, one's on the computer. When it comes to backup, I turn the internet off, transfer it off, take the drive off, and then put the internet back on, and I've just got one drive. So then that backup drive shouldn't have anything going wrong with it. But it's never 100%. So I find there's a lot of other stuff there which just bamboozles me a little bit, I'm not going to lie. But it's great that we got people like yourself that can sort of tell people how to do it and break it down, and I guess different systems will work for different photographers, I guess.
That's absolutely right. And if you're a travel photographer, you're going to work in one specific way. If you're a wedding photographer, you're going to work in a different way. There's no one solution that's going to suit everybody. And I think the main problem, the reason why technology is not embraced as much as it could be for creatives and photographers, is there's a different side of the brain that is used for the creative element than there is to people perhaps who are more mathematical. Having this stuff explained so that you can understand it, everybody has the capacity to be able to understand how their system works and to be able to maintain it. And really, my job, if I've done it correctly, is to figure out what you're missing or what is needed, break it down, show you why it's going to work a certain way, and show you how to maintain it as well. So that it's like being a doctor. You hope you'll never have to see me, and once we've kind of fixed you up, you hope you never have to see me again. But that's the idea, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's definitely right. And of course, no offence with that either. No, that's brilliant because, like a lot of creatives, I'm one of the kind of guys, okay, I just want it set up, work, and then I just want to go be creative. I don't want to have to worry about this stuff. I just want it to work. And I think that's where people like yourself come in, because we need that support. We don't like it, but we have to use it. That's the way it's gone. We don't use film anymore. It's all computers, really. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, Peter, I would like to get you on, have a proper interview and really go through some of the nitties with this, because I think I reckon our listeners would be really interested.
I'd be absolutely up for that, and it might be an idea that your listeners want to throw their questions at you, and I'll do my best to try and answer everything that's thrown at me. I've been doing IT since I was 16. And I'll be 50 next year.
Oh, don't worry. You didn't have to. You don't look a day over 30, mate. So it's all right.
Flattery will get you everywhere. Thank you.
No worries. Well, yes, guys, we will definitely get Pete on a proper interview in the bar. So if you do have any questions, just think about them, keep them to one side, email them into us, and we'll put them to Pete. Thank you very much, Pete.
Thanks very much for talking to me today.
No worries.
Okay, we've stopped at the Vanguard stand, and Vanguard specialise in camera bags, and we all love a camera bag. They also have tripods, but we'll talk about that in a moment. But I'm chatting with
tripods as well, by the way. They specialise in quite a few things by the looks of it, but we are talking about bags.
But I'm chatting with Ian here. Hi, Ian. Thank you for letting us have a chat with you.
Hi there.
Okay, so tell us about camera bags. Everyone needs a camera bag and a good camera bag as well. So first of all, I mean, it's very much personal choice and what you need it for, but what are the different types of bags? Which categories, can you categorise the different types of bags?
I think you can keep it quite simple. There's three key types of bags. They're shoulder bags, which if you're doing shorter distances and have a smaller kit, they're great. You sling them over your shoulder and you go. There's slings, which will go over your shoulder and sort of slide around. Or there's backpacks with the two straps on the side, which are probably the most comfortable for heavier kits and longer distances. If you're looking for something which is big and bulky, it's really quite difficult to say what's right for you because everybody likes something different. Everybody also goes very much on appearance first. A bag is something that you carry with you every day. You want it to match what you look like, what you're trying to exude to everybody around you. So do you want something which is outdoorsy and macho and tough and strong, or do you want something which is really quite stylish and modern looking? Do you want something that's retro? It's such a difficult thing to say to somebody, that's the bag for you.
It is, and you're right. And they have become more of a style item, haven't they? I've noticed that in sort of recent years. Especially the backpacks and the ones that you sling over your shoulder as well, and there's the small pouch options as well, and they've become like the camera straps. You know, they've almost become part of your brand, as you said. And when it comes to material of a good camera bag, all the bags that you've got here, are they made from pretty much the same material, or do they really vary?
They're pretty much the same material. It's all nylon based. What you get is different styles of nylon, so there's different finishing, so you can get the textured finish or you can get smooth finish. You also get different strengths and reliability, so the higher the number in Cordura, 840D is our pro trekking backpack. That's highly weather resistant, it's pretty much waterproof in a lot of our materials. The problem is we can't say our bags are waterproof, or not many can, because every seam is a point of weakness. Really, really heavy rain, what will happen is water can seep through. That's why most bags have a rain cover. You can make a bag waterproof, but it's relatively expensive because every seam has to be double taped. And that adds a lot of cost that most people don't really want to pay when you can simply put a rain cover on for those 2 times in a year you go out in the rain deliberately.
Yeah, that's right. So if someone came to you, let's just say we're talking about a wedding photographer, for example, and obviously it depends on how much gear he or she has. And this says, I've got 2 camera bodies, a couple of lenses, I need a camera bag that's easy to carry around at weddings. What sort of thing would you advise?
We get a lot of professional photographers to do stuff like that. What we tend to find actually is a lot of them go for trolleys, the roller cases. So you have wheels, so you're carrying a lot of gear, you have that for the bulk of your kit. So we've got things like the Ultrafly 62T. That's the size of a suitcase. You can effectively fit a studio in there. And you can take that around with you. It's got a double handle, so again, it's a nice sturdy piece of kit. We've also got some slightly smaller ones as well, so it depends how much kit that wedding photographer has. What we also tend to find is they've got a second bag, and the second bag is something like a shoulder bag, and that's where they decant the stuff they really need there and then into, but they use the case to make sure they've got everything so they don't miss a shot or a view when they're doing that shot, because they're spending, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, hopefully, for most people. They really don't want to compromise in the photos they're taking.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I was just looking at one of the bags with the wheels on, which as people know, that every time I come to a trade show, I end up buying a bag, and I'm very tempted to buy this particular bag. And it's got wheels on it, and I do have that thing where I bought a bag recently, which is a backpack, but I've got my backpack with my main camera and the things that I need for a shoot, but then I've also got a second backpack, which is my laptop and all my other bits, my everyday bag. So there's a lot of time when I'm on a shoot, and I'm actually carrying 2 backpacks with me, and this is where one with wheels sort of does make a lot of sense. Pockets and easy access to, when looking for a bag, the thing I'm looking for a lot of time is just easy access and security as well. Something that isn't flimsy, where zips are tight, zips are secure. That's all important as well.
Well, this one I'm looking at here, it looks really, really solid, to be honest with you. It's a bit like the one I've got, just a little smaller, and mine doesn't have wheels, so that's always a good thing. With Vanguard, I mean, obviously there's many bags around, aren't there? So what would you say is the best thing about the Vanguard over other bags?
I think Vanguard has been a family-owned business since 1986, so we're still owned by the same family. It's very rare in this time. We also are one of the few brands that design, manufacture and sell our own products. And what that allows us to do is we've got a very direct input into the design process. So what we're able to do, we've got around about 60 ambassadors in the UK, we've got about 30 in the US, a whole load in Spain, Germany, Japan as well. So what we do is we're constantly talking to the guys, getting their feedback about our bags, and then we're feeding back into the design team. On top of that, we do a number of shows. So for example, the photography show we've been at every year, it's been on for the last 10 years or so. And again, it's great to speak to people, like we were doing at the Wales and West show as well, where you actually get unfiltered feedback from people about what they're looking for. So, for example, we had one person who was looking for a backpack that could take 2 bottles on either side, and that was a deal breaker for them. But it's different things for different people. It just allows us to get a feel of what the trends are and what things are looking for. It also, when we're explaining products to their customers, it allows us to sort of work out what are the important features they're looking for, because you can see some things that just make their eyes light up when they see it. And it's not necessarily the big things. Sometimes it's really simple things, like, for example, most of our backpacks and bags have SD card holders, 2 SD card holders. One which has got a red tag to show it's used SD cards, one's got a green tag to show it's unused. So you don't have the worry about, is this SD card used or unused? And it's such a little thing, but what a lot of people take that to show is just how much thought's gone into the bag that you look at a detail like that. And it can be something quite strange and quite innocuous that just gives them that click, that instant hit.
Yeah, because I have that dilemma all the time. I mean, you know, we're shooting photography and video, and the team give me all their cards, and I'm lost with the card sometimes, thinking, what the hell was this card? Was this one used? Which one's this? And when you're doing it in the moment, okay, it's very easy to get sidetracked and lost. You think, oh, I don't know what's what. So a little thing like that, you know, does make a big, you know, is a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was looking at that. I thought that was a really nice feature of the bag, actually, because, like you say, you've got to be in the moment. It's got to be quick, and yeah, I can see that being a real benefit in your bag. Absolutely. I've not seen it before either.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to say was a good camera bag is important. You know, you go and spend a lot of money on a camera, and if you've not got a bag that supports it properly,
£20 on a bag.
Vibration and people. Yeah, I get people looking for deals, and you know, but a bag is just as important as having a really good solid tripod that we spoke about earlier on. And tripods, I know you guys do tripods as well, but about the bags is that, you know, if you go and spend £2,000 on a camera, you need a bag to justify that and to protect that as well. So that's important as well.
And it's probably not just one bag. The reality is there's very few photographers we meet at things like the photography show and the Wales and West show who have just one bag, because you have different bags for different situations. You know, and I guess the minimum I'd say people have is probably about 3 bags. So what you tend to have is you have a shoulder bag you start off with, which is a small one when you get your first camera. You then get another lens and you realise it's not quite right. You then get another lens and you need another bag. Do you go for a shoulder pad backpack? You get to a point where actually you've got too much kit to go in a shoulder bag, because it's not good to have a shoulder bag overladen, because it will pull you over, and over an extended period it'll be uncomfortable. Do the sore neck, sore back, and it just tires you out because your body's constantly contemplating. So what you do is you tend to go to a backpack. So then what backpack do you go for? Do you go for one which is all camera kit or one which is day pack? The thing is, everybody's got a different occasion for a bag and a different bag for a different occasion. And I know from shows a number of gentlemen have told me that they'll probably be divorced if they go back with another bag and then come back and buy another bag. It's amazing, and it's lovely to see, because there's no perfect bag. Everybody's constantly changing their gear and adapting and wanting different things for different reasons.
Good stuff. Right, Ian, thank you very much. We're going to put links out to Vanguard, and make sure, guys, you all get a decent camera bag, and Vanguard is certainly a good option.
Yeah. Right, everyone, I'm with Clear, and it's day 2 of the Wales and West Photography Show. How's it been?
Very, very good, very successful, very busy though, very, very busy, very tiring.
You were telling us about yesterday. It was almost like stampede status.
Yeah, I mean, we watched that door open. We had the mayor cut the ribbon to announce it opening. The door opened up and they just swarmed in like a sea of people. It was very overwhelming and very exciting, so very good.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying to you, Ben, it's surprising because it was a Thursday. day when you opened, it's kind of a random day for there to be like that busy.
I know. I think a lot of people are just very excited about all the deals and things like that and being able to get their hands on these cameras. I mean, this is the first show we had Nikon in as well, so they've probably been anxious to get the Z8 in their hands, at least try that out as well. But yeah, very, very overwhelming, but very exciting, very positive as well.
Excellent. I mean, we have enjoyed it. There's a lot. I like the fact you got the models around as well. We are going to check out the round table in a minute as well, because I think that's a really nice format. I mean, you guys must be so pleased.
Oh, we're over the moon. We're over the moon. You know, it's bigger than last year, so we're constantly improving, getting more and more brands in and things like that as well. Just being able to reach out to different people as well to get them here as well. So we're more than overwhelmed. Very happy with the return as well.
Yeah.
So obviously you got your store here and everything's selling. So would you say there's a camera that's been hot at the show?
Do you know what? Someone asked me this earlier, and surprisingly, it's actually done very well with all the brands. So Sony have gone up very well, Canon have done very well, Fujifilm, Nikon, they've all done surprisingly well actually in terms of it's a very positive response from all of them. So all in all, we're actually overly very, very happy with how it's all turned out, really.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because I mean, as you said, Nikon were here, which is great. Canon, Sony, all the big brands are here, aren't they? Which is great.
Absolutely.
So obviously this is in Wales. So I'm guessing have there been shows in Wales before of this size?
Never. No, this is the first one that's ever really been done of this sort of scale, and it's never really been done before. And so to have us create something very similar to this, you obviously got the Birmingham show, so for us to at least create something similar to that or somewhat close to that is a lot of positive feedback from the customers, saying that this is something that's definitely needed. A couple of them suggesting that we should push it up north as well, just to reach those that can't make it down to us and things like that as well. So hopefully keep that in discussion and see how that progresses. If there's more positive feedback for it, then certainly we'll have a look at it.
Yeah, no, well, this has been good actually, and I just wanted to give you guys a shout out again, sort of Camera Centre UK, because I bought from you guys, met you guys at the show now 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. Always been looked after today. So if you guys are looking for any camera gear, then I think this should be your first, look up, and they'll certainly look after you.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Lee.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you very much again. All right, thank you, gents.